Alright guys, today we're putting together the patio gas heater by Hykolity, and I picked this one because it was 50,000 BTUs, which was about 8,000 BTUs more than the average patio heater you see out there, and also I got it on sale for like 113, 114 bucks. A couple other reasons why I got this. This is supposed to be a double lined burner. I can see that it's double lined in some areas, but not all. But it's supposed to be a much more heavy duty burner that won't collapse like a lot of them do once they get hot several times. And then also it comes with a sandbox, which a sandbox is basically just a container in the base that you put rocks or sand in here. And it helps weigh it down so it doesn't tip so easy. So those are the four reasons why I picked this particular heater. So let's put it together. Just starting out, I'm just trying to remove this plastic stuff. I can't lie to you guys. It's pretty annoying trying to get that off, but I know why they put it on there. They needed to protect the aluminum top to this so that it doesn't get all scratched and banged up. The packaging was very good. Everything had some thick foam and cardboard in between everything, didn't rattle around, and there was nothing damaged when I took it out of the package. I highly recommend removing that blue protective coating before assembly because it's gonna make it so much more difficult to get it all off if you assemble it. And it even tells you in the instructions to remove it before assembly. All right, step number one. First, remove the sandbox with these 4 screws because you have to install the wheels right here. And if you're going to use these grounding fixtures, these mount to the base. And these are the nails that go into the ground to hold it down. Not going to use that. It's going to be on my patio. But if you're thinking about putting it on your patio and making it a permanent fixture, you can mount these and then put screws through here down through your deck. Sucker will never tip over on you, I can tell you that. But then the wheels are pretty much useless because you won't be able to roll it around because it'll be mounted to your deck. So you have to figure out what you want to do. Do you want to mount it to your deck? Do you want to put it in the grass and have these little nails holding it down, or are you just going to put it together with the wheels in the base like I'm going to do so I can move it around? You do not have to remove the sandbox because they give you plenty of room to get in here with your nuts and bolts. Over here, if you're going to put in your feet for your grounding fixtures, there's still plenty of room to get in there, so you can leave that sandbox attached. If you don't want to take it off, just tighten the screws on the other side. So the instructions recommend pouring sand into the stability base, but I'm going to use small rocks because I have a delivery of small rocks out in the yard. And they also recommend adding water to it. Now, if you live in a climate that gets cold and freezes at night, I don't know if you want to put water in the base because you might crack it. It's just plastic. So it's totally up to you. They do recommend sand and water. You could probably just put all water, but it's not really going to add too much weight to the base. I don't even know if you could get a gallon in there. And a gallon of water only weighs 8 pounds, or a little under 8 pounds. So totally up to you what you want to do. I'm just going to use small rocks. I happen to be lucky enough to have a pile of small rocks in the yard. Small enough where fill up that base, no problem. So next we're going to attach the support brackets. And the one with the strap goes towards the back, next to the wheels. Here's your hardware kit. Everything's labeled with letters, and you should be able to find that pretty easy. And I'll let you know what hardware we're using during the assembly process. So far we needed two 14mm wrenches and two 10mm wrenches. If you only have one wrench of each, you can use a pair of pliers to hold the other end of the hardware when you're tightening it. To install the support brackets, we're going to be using AA 3 bolts M8 by 16. And those are for the uprights. So I am using a lock washer with this, just because I feel that it should have a lock washer. I had some extras in my hardware bins that I have for my personal use, so I'm just going to add it. You don't have to because it's not in the instructions, but in my opinion, it's not going to loosen up that easy over time if you have a lock washer. So do what you want, but I'm adding it. All right, I have the 3 uprights installed, the support brackets. It says do not tighten, so do not tighten these at this point. And I do have the one with the strap back where the wheels are. Next, we're going to be installing this center post at the top of the brackets here. So to connect the center post with the upright braces, you're going to be using the BB and DD bolts with nuts attached. And it's the M6 flange nuts and M6 by 30 bolt. Again, I'm going to add some washers to the bolt head side. Just seems like it would be better to have washers there. The nut has a built-in lock washer right on the nut itself, so you don't have to worry about a lock washer on the other side. Again, when you're putting this together, don't tighten the bolts that are already in until you have all of the supports and bolts in place, and then you can go around and tighten up all your bolts. So once you have all 6 bolts and nuts installed, proceed to tighten these, and then proceed to tighten the ones to the base. Do not over torque them because you could strip them out. It's not that heavy duty, so just give them a good snug and you should be fine. Once you have that center piece all snugged up and tightened, don't over tighten that. It's got very thin metal here, so you don't want to crush it too much, you know what I'm saying? This will bend right up in there. As you can see, I bent this one a little bit too much, snugging them up, so just be careful. They are just hollow tubes. Okay, so I'm gonna put the base cover over this for the next step. So next we're gonna take these reflector spacers and install them into the head. And these are EE, and they want you to use washer FF. And these are the spacers. So I just took the head unit and I folded the cardboard flanges back into the box, and then I put the head unit back in the box just so it's easier to work with. Now I'm just going to install these spacers. The washer's already there. I got it in place. I'm going to install these, and then I'm going to snug them up. Next, they want you to remove these bolts out of the head assembly. They came with it. They came already installed, so we're just going to remove those. Next, we're going to thread the regulator through the pole. Might be easier to do this with 2 people. There you go. And I'm going to put the labels towards the switch in the igniter, just to make it look more professional. Then you're just going to put in the bolts that you took out. And make sure you put them all in first, and then go back around and tighten them. All right, now we're going to assemble the head unit to the base, and basically going to thread that gas line down through with the regulator, into the base. And we're gonna use the 4 stainless steel screws that are in KK in the hardware kit. Again, you may want to use 2 people to do this. It is a little awkward. Alright. Fits just like that. This thing's pretty tall. Alright. Put the screws in. Again, just get them all in first and go on and swing them up. To tighten these screws, you're going to need a number 2 Phillips head. Make sure you're all started. Don't over torque them. I noticed that it's easy to over torque the hardware on this unit, so just be careful. You can always go out and get new self-tapping screws, but who wants to do that? All right, so this unit, once it's all assembled, it's like 7 feet 6 inches tall. So if you're doing this in a small room or something, you're gonna be a little bit difficult doing it. So I would recommend doing it either out on your patio or in a garage like this with a high roof. All right, the next step is to put together the heat deflector, and we're gonna be using GG, HH, and II for the hardware. All right, so how I'm gonna assemble this, you're gonna have this raised edge here on top on all 3 pieces. And then I'm gonna start by installing the nuts and bolts here on the outer, on all 3 panels, and then I'll move to the center. I think it'll be a little bit easier doing it that way. As you can see, I have it hanging off the table so I can get it underneath here and reach the nuts on the other side. All right, now that I got all the screws in, I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna snug everything up, and then we can put the hat on top of the burner. So when you're putting together the heat deflector, make sure you use your washer and your nut on the top side of the heat deflector. So the hardware you're going to use for the deflector is going to be your 3 wing nuts, and it's in JJ in this long packet here. All right, so the last step is to put a washer on each one of these studs at the top of the burner. And then take your hat or heat deflector, place it on top. Once your heat deflector's on top, place another washer on top, and then use the wing nut out of your hardware kit. Tighten them down. And now we get to go out and see how this thing works.